All right, folks, welcome back. All right, so we're looking at part 2 today on the Easy Dial. And today we're going to be go ahead and calibrating to one of my powders I've got. So this is Hodgdon Tight Group. It's one of the most popular powders out there. This is one I use quite often. I already went through the calibration process on my CFE pistol. It is sort of a lengthy process, I would say. You know, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. But you know, once you get through it, you'll never have to do it again for that particular powder. So you do have to go through the calibration process on each powder that you intend to use. But again, you can change calibers all you want. The only thing you have to calibrate is the powder specifically. So once you get it done, you never do it again. Okay, so that's important to know. All right, you're going to need a few things to get this accomplished. The instructions actually go through a powder calibration instructions down here at the bottom. I would recommend not following those. The spreadsheet actually does a better job at this. So it would be a good idea if you have a laptop out towards your where you do your reloading. Take your laptop with you with your spreadsheet. If you don't, that's okay. You can write some things down on paper and take it out with you to your bench, jot down the results, and then come back and plug those numbers into your spreadsheet. But you do need the spreadsheet. That's going to be very important to get this accomplished. It does do some math for you, figures out some formulas, and confirms that the accuracy is there. A few things else you're going to need. You're going to need a scale, obviously. Something to dip some powder in. So I got a little powder tray there. You're going to need some cartridges because you're going to be dumping some charges. Now I'm doing, again, I'm working on my Square Deal B. The largest caliber I load on this is 40. And you're going to see that as I get into the process here where I'm calibrating, that this cartridge actually runs out of space. And I actually can't drop big enough charges in that. So you'll see what I mean here in just a minute. Fortunately, I do have some 45 cases. I don't load 45 on my Square Deal. I don't even have a die set or a shell plate for 45, but I was able to get this to work. You can see how much that's built out there. It's not set up for that, but that's okay. But this just barely fit enough powder in there to calibrate. So you want to keep this in mind. If you're doing this, you need to make sure that you have a large cartridge available for whatever press that you're using. It can throw some large charges. You definitely need a large case. So use the largest one you have. This is sort of a sore point for me. I'll get into this at the end of the video, you know, my final thoughts on this. But anyway, make sure you have some cartridges around. You're going to be dropping some charges there. And that's pretty much it. Let's get the spreadsheet open. I'll show you what we're going to be doing here. All right, hopefully that's coming through okay. Instead of just doing a screen grab video, I'm just videotaping my screen. Hopefully that's coming across okay. All right, so I got the spreadsheet open, and this is the default one it comes with. So right now we're going to be doing Tight Group, and so I'm going to put in Hodgdon Tight Group. And I'm going to go to the second tab here, and I'm going to grab the VMD for Tight Group, if I can find it on here. There it is. 0.08475. So let's plug that number in here. 0.08475. Okay. All right, so what we need to do now is we need to follow these instructions over here on the right-hand side. Now, these are better than the powder calibration that actually came with the instruction book. So essentially what we need to do is we need to set the dial to each one of these settings: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And these numbers are actually bolded here on the spreadsheet. They may not be showing up very well on the screen there. And we're going to drop this many of charges for each setting, and then we're going to record here on the spreadsheet what the total sample weight is for those charges. Okay, and they do recommend, now they've only bolded the numbers in whole numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth, but they do recommend for better accuracy, when you get to 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, so on and so forth, is to go ahead and drop these also. And I did that. as I was doing this. And as you're recording these numbers, this graph here is going to start changing on you. And what you're really looking for is you can see this line here is nice and steady. You should see a similar line. If you start seeing jumps in the line somewhere, then you've got a problem somewhere. You might want to stop and go back and redrop that load just to make sure things are jiving correctly. Now, as you get up here towards the upper echelon of the scale, when you set the dial to 14, 15, 16, 17, they've given you a warning here that some of the Dillon powder bars are going to vary within this range, and some of them might not even go this high. So if you see any resistance at all, stop. Do not force the dial at all. Again, I have some thoughts on this as I get towards my review at the end. But essentially what you're looking for is that when you get to the end here and it runs its calculation, this PCC R2 number should be at 0.995 or greater. Anything less than that means that there is an accuracy problem. But essentially at 0.9995 means there's a 99% variance, or it's essentially 100% accurate. Or I'm going to say within a tenth of a grain. I think that's fair to say, and I think even the Dillon powder measures only verify accuracy within a tenth of a grain. So, okay, so that's what we're going to do is we're going to go through, I'm going to load up this tight group in my powder hopper. We're going to set the dial to 0, and we're going to drop 20 charges, and then we're going to record the weight here. It's important that every time you change between dial settings from 0 to 1 to 2 and so on and so forth, that you drop a few charges in between there. Just put them back in the powder hopper before you actually start recording weight, and that lets things balance out a little bit. Okay, all right, let's get over to the machine and let's start recording some weights here. Okay, I got my hopper filled with tight group. We'll just give that a little tap. Dial set to 0, 0. I've got my scale over here. Get that on to make sure it's zeroed out. Okay, and I got my laptop over here with my spreadsheet open so I can record those results as we do them. I've got one case here, 40 caliber. I got a primer in that so that the powder won't spill out. And we're just going to drop a few here at the beginning to get the powder measure just sort of balanced out. Make sure everything is flowing properly. And we'll do 4 or 5 here. And I'm not going to videotape this whole process for you guys. It would be pretty boring video. But we'll walk through these first few. All right, let's do one more. Okay, so this first round we have to drop 20 charges. So try to keep count. Uno. There's 20. All right, so we had 47.3 grains in that 20, so I'm just going to record that on the spreadsheet. 47.3, and we're going to move on to 1. So we're going to just turn the dial up. No reason to, we're increasing charge here, so you don't have to worry about compressing the load. So we're going to turn that until it flips to 1. And we're going to drop 5 charges at 1. Again, always important that you drop the first few back into the powder hopper. Let things balance out again. Okay, and let's drop the powder tray also back in there. Make sure the scale is zeroed out. Looks good. All right, we're going to drop 5 on this one. Oops, I put that one back in the hopper. There's 3. 4. And 5. All right, that is a 16.5. All right, and we're going to move on to 2. All right, so you get the process. I'm going to move through each one of those numbers individually. I'll come back as I get into the higher charges, and I'll let you know when I have to stop using this and I have to start using this, which is sort of a pain, but I'll show you that. So we'll come back here in just a little bit. Okay, getting ready to turn the dial up to 12 here now, and I'm reaching the maximum space in this 40 caliber. So you're going to see here, this is going to be the last I'll be able to do with this one. I'm just dropping my stabilizing charges here, and you can see that is that's full. So I'll have to move on to the 45 after this one, and you will see how I do that. Otherwise, I'm worried. Well, first of all, I just won't handle it, but I'm being very careful here with the press when I'm coming down to make sure nothing splashes out and I don't lose any grains anywhere. All right, that was my 3. As the powder measure resets, it does tend to vibrate the press a little bit. So I'm going to pull this out here. There's 3. There's 4. And there's 5. Not fitting any more in that one. All right, so that's 73.1 total. All right, now we're moving on to 13. So I'm going to grab my 45 case here, dump this back in the hopper. All right, let's move this up to 13. Okay, so you will see what I have to do here because this shell plate is not made for 45s, but it does sit on here, and if I guide it up so it hits the powder dropper there, and it will hold it. And you can see there's not much capacity left in that one, but I am able to work through this process with this 45. So we'll dump this back in here and do our 3 balancing drops here. And then we're going to do 5 and weigh them. There's 1. And now this case is getting stuck up in there. It's bailed out too much. There's 2. I'm going to see if I can squeeze this down a little bit. It doesn't get stuck anymore. Hopefully I didn't cause more of a problem. There's 3. There's 4. And there's 5. All right, 79 on that one, even. All right, and again, we're moving up into the range here where they say that the the Dillon powder bars might face some resistance. Now, I did not face any resistance when I was doing the CFE pistol, but we got to move up to 14. So when you're at 14, 15, 16, if you start encountering resistance, you want to stop, okay? All right, so I'm going to get this all wrapped up. I got 3 more drops to go, 14, 15, and 16, and then we'll go back to the spreadsheet and we'll see the results. Okay, I got all those weighed out all the way through 16 per the instructions, and I ended up with a very good result, actually a little bit better than it was with the CFE pistol. Essentially correlation accuracy 100%, I was 0.9999, so that's excellent. And you can see the XY graph here has got a nice curve to it. It's pretty much a straight line. That's exactly what you want to see. So essentially what we can do now at this point is we can go ahead and set a desired charge here. Well, let's just leave it at 5.5. And it says that the easy dial setting should be 3.06. So let's grab our 40 caliber cartridge here. Let's go back to the press. Let's set it to 3.06. And let's see if we get 5.5 grains. All right, let's get our scale. Let's weigh out our cartridge here and get that zeroed out. All right, I have the dial set to 3.06. 3.06. Let's drop just a few stabilizing charges here. And again, we should get 5.5 grains. Or, you know, within 1/10 of a grain. All right, let's see what we get on this first drop here. How's that? 5.5 grains, right on the money. That is beautiful. Okay. All right, so you can see how well that works. Let's actually, while we're still here, let's dial it down a little bit. Let's dump this back in the hopper, and let's increase the charge to 7 grains. We'll just test this out. Okay, so now it says 4.52. So 4.52. Okay. Let's drop a few stabilizers here. Okay, all right, let's see what we get here. Again, we're looking for 7 grains. Seven grains. Wow. That's awesome. All right, let's get this buttoned up, and I will give you my final thoughts on this product. Okay, so my final thoughts. Again, I'd like to remind everybody that I paid for this product. This was not sent to me. I'm not sponsored in any form or fashion. Let's see here. Okay, so again, this was the Easy Dial. This came to me from Titan Reloading. I'll put their web address right here on the bottom of the screen for you. Again, per my previous video, I did have a problem with it, but I really like to thank Titan Reloading and the manufacturer for getting right on that, getting me a new dial sent out. I had an issue with the set screw on that, but they did fix the problem. New one worked great. All right, overall, this thing is awesome. Would I absolutely buy one again? No doubt about it. If Dillon, if you're watching Dillon, want to send me a new Dillon machine, I will put one of these on it. So I will be sure waiting a long time for that. All right, so a couple negatives or improvements that I think could be done. Number one, they do not warn you that you will need a cartridge or a large cartridge in order to accomplish the calibration process. I could see somebody purchasing this that maybe only loads 9mm and only has 9mm. There's no way that you'll be able to finish the calibration process with only a 9mm cartridge. Thankfully, I was able to get most of it with the 40, and also thankfully, I happen to have a 45 laying around that somehow worked in my square deal machine, so I'm pretty fortunate, and even this was tapped out. My last calibration charge was right near the top of the case here. So I wish they would give a warning on that, or maybe they could manufacture some type of case that has like a 9mm head on it, or let them ask you, what are you going to be loading? We'll send you some type of custom case that's got a 9mm head on it, but it's a longer case that can hold more powder. I don't know. That's just a suggestion, but that seems to be that they should at least give you some type of warning in advance. All right, number 2, the spreadsheet. Again, as you get down here towards the bottom on these upper charges, 14, 15, and 16, where they warn you that some of the Dillon powder bars might encounter a problem, they don't tell you what you're supposed to do if for some reason you can't get those charges in. Let's say you weren't able to get 14 or 15 or even one of them. You can't put a 0 in this box. That will mess up the whole correlation accuracy. And so they should give you like a secondary option. Now, one thing I noticed is that usually the differences between some of these numbers, like the difference between 13 and 12 was similar or very close to the difference between 12 and 11 and 11 and 10 and so on and so forth. And so I think if you went back and you were to come up with, what is that number and came up with an average, I think you could probably plug that number in here in some form or fashion, and that would probably work for you, or at least get you within 1/10 of a grain. But they don't give you that alternate instructions, so I think that would be nice if they would include that. Overall, again, this thing is awesome. I would absolutely buy one again. Again, this was the Easy Dial, and this came to me from Titan Reloading. All right, so thank you all very much. Thanks to all the new subscribers that have shown up here over the last several weeks. Definitely stay tuned. I got a lot more content coming out, including some remakes of some previous videos I did. Also, I'm approaching 1,000 subscribers, and so stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed right now. Click that little icon right there, and some big news coming out when I hit 1,000 subscribers. You can check out a couple of my previous videos over here on the left, including the install video of this product is up here on the left right here. Check that out. Thanks all very much. Hope you're having a fantastic day.